Palladium Pictures, Inc.
Super motherfucker!
presents. Or I'm sorry, presents.
Super motherfucker bros! Oh.
Oh. Damn it.
He told me it was going to be Super Motherfucker Bros, John.
My name is Ivan Marks.
And I don't know how
The
to
film
pick
you're
a shirt
about
that
to see
fits me
is
well.
Authentic. It records the last 10 years, which has changed my life. I stumbled on something that I could not believe at first,
Bigfoot orgy?
but soon realized it had significance on me and everyone around me, which could not be ignored or underestimated. The Eskimos call the subject of my story Bushman.
Most other people
The
call
Colville
my story
Indians of
bullshit.
upstate Washington call him Sasquatch. The Hoopas of Northern California call him
Bleep!
But right now, let's just call him Bigfoot.
But most people just call him Ralph. He's my next door neighbor.
Pan over to Ralph, and he's a bush.
Let's get you to the home. Meanwhile, in Beast of Yucca Flats.
Are my eyes bleeding? Are your eyes bleeding? It looked like they cut part of that guy's name off.
A full name is a bourgeois luxury.
Executive producers Ivan Marks, Don Reese, and Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot got EP on that? That's great.
He has been working his way through the silver screen for quite some time now.
Bigfoot's been sucking and fucking his way to the top.
From the capital he has received from his award-winning pornos, he has been able to produce many a film. He is best known for Song of the South.
Song of the South, the porno version.
Starring Bigfoot.
What is this, like a Where's Waldo montage, but for Bigfoot?
This is my country.
Yeah, that's not what the government said. Pick a lane, waterfall!
Areas like this, as close to the animals as a man can get.
As far away from humans as they can force me. These are the weirdest Bigfoot I've ever seen.
When everything's a Bigfoot, it's easy to find them.
I built my home here. Bear Ranch. Of course, I'm prejudiced, but I think it's just about the prettiest place I've ever seen.
The prettiness really doesn't have to do much with my prejudice. I just wanted to bring both things up.
She's a rare woman. She's the only woman I know who'd put up with the animals I used to bring home, like those coyote pups, and raise them just like they were her own.
And then they ate her.
Man, they're really kind of like fluffing up this guy. What do you think he's gonna do to Bigfoot at the end?
He's gonna get him hooked on crack and start pimping them out.
Yeah. We've shared more ups and downs than there are in the high Sierras. Those were good days. Simple.
See, that's a day. That's a day.
You see, I'm a tracker.
Dude, he almost ran over a dog. Are we gonna just skip over that?
I know tracks, like the FBI knows fingerprints.
Were those the FBI looking for something on your estate? Something in the ground?
Killers of livestock and sometimes people. I didn't kill for sport.
I killed out of fear
so innocent
and
ones might be
horniness.
spared. I learned trapping from my dad's shoulders back in Illinois.
Okay.
I'm coming in.
Just put on the damn Santa hat.
Since that time, I've worked for the government.
Bill, what's the second step of this process? Time is a factor.
When they had a renegade, they knew who to call.
Who are you gonna call? Cat Strangler.
When there's some cat getting too big for his britches, who you gonna call? Cat Strangler!
There'd been reports that Bear had been killing the cattle.
It was
I
me.
know Bear, and the Kodiak happens to be one of the most beautiful on God's earth. Takes a lot of grub to feed him. 9 feet tall, up to a ton in weight.
We get it. You kill animals. You don't have to, make yourself seem like mightier than life itself.
Would I say I'm stronger than a bear? Yes. Yes, I would.
He will eat everything in time.
The bear will end us all.
The ranchers were getting $5,000 bounties on these so-called cow killers. So I moved in to set things straight.
Me being a flock of birds.
I met a rancher who said it ain't Kodiak killing my cattle. I finally found someone I could talk to. He said,
Over there.
Bigfoot. Straight-faced as could be. He said Bigfoot's been killing my cattle.
We call him large appendage.
Bigfoot. I checked the carcass and saw the cow had died naturally. The bear
You can tell
fed
quite
on
clearly
its
there's a
remains.
dog killing this cow.
Found out after.
How
that
full
grass
of
was
corpses
waterlogged.
is this
Not enough
area?
protein. Cattle died of malnutrition. Kodiak. Bigfoot.
Ooh, what is this
People always want
grainy
their
voyeur
questions
footage of
answered
two
in such
bears getting it on?
Neatly wrapped little
The more
packages.
important question is, what's that
Well, I read
fapping
about
sound we're
Bigfoot.
hearing?
Some abominable snowman who'd wandered across the Bering Strait before the Ice Age. I couldn't believe a grown man would tell me a Bigfoot was killing him. What a bunch of hogwash.
You got your fish, fucker!
This is more interesting. Fuck Bigfoot.
Meanwhile, on the cover of an Eagles album,
I didn't mind at all putting distance between me and those crazies in Alaska. And it felt good to be with some sensible folks like Peggy's brother.
Sensible people in Arizona.
And Arizona University wanted us to track down a javelina hog for research. It's a small critter.
who put high heels on that pig?
It was Bigfoot. He's chasing us.
He's toying with us. He's playing with our minds, man! And it's not perfect, but now we've got ourselves a pretty serviceable football. Go long!
You brought the
Well,
pump,
I
right?
told my brother-in-law about the wild Bigfoot story at Kodiak. But he didn't respond as I'd expected.
This is gonna make for some fine fucking boys.
He said, "Don't be so quick to make judgments. There's something I want you to see." He took me to what Indians called the land of petrified wood.
Those are rocks.
There, carved in rock, were drawings of a creature with big hands and big feet.
Wow, they made
Exactly
sure
as
to
I had heard
get a
Bigfoot
close-up
described.
detail on the labia. Check that
The
out.
drawings were
Lips for days.
700 years old. They told how creatures the Indians called stickman had come in the night and stolen the Indian children.
You got yourself one of them
The
Slendermans.
Indians abandoned the village in fear.
Or a drought.
Or they were a nomadic hunting people.
I don't know.
Do I sound like an expert on anything?
First the ranchers, now my brother-in-law. My head was reeling.
Man, I took a wrong turn.
So I decided to do some
Story
peyote
just
and
so
wander
many
into the
words.
woods.
So I soon forgot about him, till I was up tracking a mountain lion. and I found these tracks. Now, they look much like human footprints, but they were 18 inches long.
It made me feel
6.5
inferior,
across the ball of the
like
foot,
my
5.5 at the
manhood
heel.
wasn't good enough.
They were the hugest I'd ever seen. Tracks were so deep, they had to have been made by at least a 500-pound animal.
Oh, how deep were they?
And the hair, I couldn't identify it.
Because it was dryer lint.
I would make sure to take it back and tack it to my conspiracy board at home.
I'm pretty sure Nixon was the Bigfoot this entire time.
And the stride was enormous, 52 inches in length.
Hey, I wonder if I'm
Man,
ruining these
only 30.
footprints.
They were fakes. Somebody would have had to drag a pretty big machine over pretty rough country to make them, and they would have left their own tracks.
He cares more about not getting snow on his shoes than he does preserving these tracks.
This is the exact same reason why they kicked me out of the police.
Sign of claws. They were so manlike. I was mystified, so I made plaster casts and sent them with the hair to a lab for analysis.
They told me to stop sending them things.
Well, I tell you, I was glad to get home.
But then I found that Bigfoot
Our
had stolen my
pups were
wife,
growing, and they
burned
didn't
my
give
house
us
down,
much
eaten
time
my
to think
coyote
about
pets.
everything that had happened.
Damn pups not thinking about big feet.
Let them have their childhood. Why are you ripping his jaw off?
I was called to chase a renegade bear up north.
That's a plane.
No, it's one of the metal birds.
Air bears.
Tests had shown the hair samples and tracks couldn't be matched with any known animal. I was uncomfortable.
So I drank a quart of paint and wandered into the
The
mountains.
animals were even acting strange. I soon found out why.
Oh, that bear was mutilated
I
from
found
the crotch
bear I
up.
was
Did you see
looking
that?
for, but not in the condition I expected. Another track, just as I'd seen on the mountain.
Don't touch it!
Get your finger out of there.
And there, between its teeth, the hair.
More dryer lint.
I was astounded.
The bear almost seemed to be saying, "Et tu, Brutus?"
Stood 8 feet tall, lying by the side of the creek.
I could hear the soul of the bear in my ear, screaming, "Don't put me in this stupid documentary, you idiot!" But I said, "Fuck you, bear, you're dead."
Now I wanted to find out everything I could about Bigfoot. I advertised for any information.
A leisurely look for Bigfoot.
You can't believe the number of stories people had to tell.
Believe it or
My
not,
friends
this
laughed at
advertisement
them all.
attracted a lot of
Okay.
crazy people.
I'd laugh too. But things were different now. I had to figure out what was fact and what was fiction.
And judging by how I still made
There
this
were
documentary,
reports of
you can tell that I
creatures
was
12
not
feet
successful in
tall,
doing that.
800 pounds that prowled on 2 feet. Now that's absurd, scientifically impossible. No creature that size.
Why are we
weight
zooming
could
in on a
even
hairy
stand
dump?
upright. And as for tracks, you can't imagine the number of kids I found running around the woods making plywood fakes.
So many, in fact, I
Tales
based a
of
career
hunters
on it.
being ripped apart, campers kidnapped and never heard of again.
I give you Bigfoot taking a shit.
All
You
the
mind?
reports shared were the dark hair, the domed head, the large footprints, and the glowing red eyes.
Shown here, not in red. Bigfoot?
Nature's my home.
Especially since I
How
got
could
evicted.
some missing link be wandering around up here without me knowing it?
So I grabbed a handful of bath salts and got to
Visit
work.
A couple of my pets. I tried not to think about Bigfoot, but it was tough to shake.
He haunted my mind. His savage,
There wasn't 2
violent
minutes before
sexuality.
my friend had
His
vanished
musk,
in the woods.
which made the eyes water. His big, powerful Bigfoot arms wrapping around me.
With the size of the prints I saw, I knew he was packing.
Well, I set out after him, but I couldn't find him anyplace.
Not in front of me, in front of me, in front of me, below me, in front of me, below me, in front of me, in front of me, in front of me.
To think all he had to do was look up and see a dense network of Bigfoot swinging through the treetops.
Oh my God, who killed that tree?
So I decided to do some peyote and hang out under a bridge.
And there beside it, another track. Fresh.
But there was only one, so Bigfoot must have flown away.
My legs were moving before I realized what I was doing.
Oh no, the Paka Paka sequence again.
I had to get
I mopped up my drool and concentrated to find out what was happening. Hello, Mr. Bigfoot? Sir?
nauseating, musky odor made it difficult to breathe. But I had to find out what I'd seen. It was getting dark. Time was...
Man, he made it to the Pacific coast. Oh! And back to the woods.
What is this, the Blair Witch Project all of a sudden?
Bigfoot. I'd seen Bigfoot.
So wait, is Bigfoot a creature or just footprints?
What the hell was I doing?
All right, how much of this movie is going to be
I
this?
was here alone, without a rifle, without anyone knowing where to find me.
What a dipshit.
With a 500-pound, 8-foot-tall, vicious creature. I had to get out of here.
In a desperate frenzy, I did some peyote and wandered into the woods.
I had to show people what I'd seen. The footprints.
How are you going to stretch this out to almost another hour? Wait, don't answer that.
It was just the cat.
Wait, does it have big feet?
I'd never been so scared in my life. But my friends couldn't laugh now. Wait till they saw the tracks.
Oh, it was only a savage cougar who's eating the remains of some other person.
But the rains came and washed the tracks away.
We'll chase him. The stream's not going that fast.
Hurry, get your Bigfoot burger, 2 burgers.
Now, people's attitudes towards Bigfoot made me mad.
I made him up first.
I'd seen it. Matter of fact, I felt I'd been singled out to find it.
Ah! Meanwhile, in The Sound of Music...
Where do you begin?
Rocky Mountain High, I'm on bath salts. Looking for Bigfoot, Rocky Mountain High.
Been huffing concentrated horse piss.
Over 5
Colorado.
side of a mountain. The tracks are funny things. The smallest print can melt, freeze, get snowed over. And before you know it, it's gigantic.
Yep, that's Bigfoot
The
droppings.
supposed Bigfoot was a little old coyote.
Very smooth transition.
The redwoods, an endless source of sightings.
Nope, there's the end.
If this creature were here, where did it hide?
Top of one of those big trees.
Dumbass.
I searched
Bigfoot's
the
up there
trees
kind of
formed by the
eyeballing up a
roots of the
depth
ancient
charge
tree.
shit to drop on his head.
Squatting like a bird.
Here were perfect shelters,
And deer love.
secluded, hideaways to recover from injuries, refuge for many forest animals from the elements.
If you're just making some pervy film about animals
Protected
getting it
privacy
on,
when
just
giving
say
birth.
so. You don't have to do this old Bigfoot charade.
Hundreds of tree caves, but no tracks, bones, or
Oh
unusual
man, I went in there and I had this weird dream where I was Darth Vader.
no clues at all. I had to be wasting my time. But there was a statue carved in redwood.
Found him.
Its image was
Case
based on
closed.
hundreds of sightings collected over the years. And it was exactly like the creature I had seen myself.
If only I had gotten here before they cast him in bronze.
Who gave this Bigfoot a bowl cut? Looks like a bunch of these sculptors like started out really strong from the bottom up, and when they got to the head, they're just like, fuck it, I'm done.
Just making a circle with, making a snowman head.
Oregon coast. Reports of Bigfoot feeding during the run of the nightfish.
So I took some peyote and went to the beach.
The shore was secluded. Food was plentiful. It seemed a perfect place for the secretive Bigfoot.
We wait for the seafaring Bigfoot.
You don't
Fleets
know
of
what it is
Bigfoot
to wait
ships.
till you've been a tracker. Finally, a gull came with the first sign of the run. And right behind it,
Where my
you've
runs.
never seen so
He's
many
only ankle deep. He doesn't need those waders. That's just to keep in the slaughtering overflow of diarrhea that's constantly coming out of
turned
him.
into Coney Island. Only way Bigfoot could show up here was wearing swimming trunks.
Oh, I almost got that
One bum deer
Bigfoot.
after another.
Darn, he's crafty.
How was I supposed to know which lead to follow?
Man, what a pipe.
I was running out of time. And I was running out of money.
And peyote.
As we
I
left,
have to start
I
mugging
felt
people
like
for
the
more
waves
peyote.
were
Oh, so it's a
lapping
dual
at our
purpose
back.
pipe.
The club and smoke.
Club and smoke and club and smoke and jail and club and smoke.
Then came our hottest tip yet. We couldn't
Mountain.
turn it down. Snowbird warned us of an upcoming storm, but I was too excited and ignored it. The area was rich with wildlife. And why not Bigfoot? Plenty of food.
How
plenty of
many
cover,
shots are we going to get of mountain lions murdering
remote
rabbits?
From man. There it was. My efforts had paid off.
That's a bear.
I was ready.
This guy's average walk through the forest must be exhausting,
I
as
wasn't
every
ready to
sound he
find out
hears,
it
he
was
whips
just
towards
a
that direction and goes,
bear.
"There he is!"
Past its winter.
Yeah, he's already had a couple of cervical spine
What was happening
replacements.
to me?
On the plus side, he can fully rotate his head
Only
around like an
Boy
owl
Scout
now.
knows how people's eyes play tricks on him in the woods. I was like a gun-happy hunter that makes a 10-foot grizz out of a charred old tree stump.
Charred old tree stump.
This poor guy
Even
was
the
born in the
snowbird
wrong
was
era,
laughing.
because he should have just been a grizzled old
And why
prospector.
shouldn't?
Oh, yeah.
Here I was, a grown man running around the woods chasing some fairy tale.
Reluctantly,
felt
I
like a
decided it was
fool.
time to go back to my day job, hunting for the tooth fairy.
Well, I was out of patience, and I was out of money.
So I pissed
So I
and
took a
shat
job
into a
up in the
jug, tightened
wilderness
it up, and
on
waited for it to
Washington.
ferment as I wandered into the woods.
Had to photograph a cinnamon bear in its natural habitat. You want a bear? Here's a bear.
We want a Bigfoot. Where's the Bigfoot?
Here's a bear. No, Bigfoot. Bear?
Where was I? All right, this guy again.
Then I saw it. A deformed version of the track I'd seen so often.
Was it you, dear?
There it was. Finally.
Hope no one's looking at me.
Face with Bigfoot. Here was the domed head, just as others had described it. The thick, dark.
Why the hell did I eat a gas station brisket?
And allow it to pass.
Oh, come on. Come closer, bushes.
I saw it, photographed it. But scientists challenged my film.
Damn scientists asking for proof.
It had stood up under every conceivable test.
Look at how he's moved. I think this guy got into his peyote.
As the cause of the skin.
You can see a shoe on him.
As the cause of the limp. But my documented evidence wasn't good enough for the experts.
He pranced and danced like a Bigfoot.
Experts who still asked, how could such a creature survive? Where does it live? Show us its remains. What does it eat?
Can't a man buy a gorilla suit and hire a prostitute to run through the forest, get some pictures, and become famous in peace? Huh?
Well, I didn't care for these people.
What's that red cloud? Did you shoot him?
But I was haunted by their questions.
And that's when I realized God was dead.
What an experience. Now I had to start finding some answers.
Was he just fucking around up to this
The
point?
creature's tracks disappeared at the edge of a beaver swamp.
Hey, beavers, you seen a Bigfoot?
Only sign of animal life was the geese migrating north for the summer. I wanted the satisfaction of bringing back unchallengeable proof.
Though I thought I'd dig a hole in the
Where to
dirt.
begin?
I used a small stick.
I found several other creatures had passed through the area, all heading north.
He's gonna put something else in his
Could
mouth
Bigfoot
again, ain't he?
be a migratory animal. I plotted all the reliable reports.
Those run another map. These are the most badass rest stops in America, if you know what I mean. Especially this one. My God.
The amount of circles means being.
And the X's mean that there were no survivors left.
There actually seemed to be a migratory pattern extended over thousands of miles.
These are actually the locations of head shops
If
along
this
his
were
trip.
true, I'd have some means of predicting the creature's movements and a good chance to find some answers to my questions.
I scattered a map with random X's and circles for no particular reason.
Stayed in
Other than my
very
joy of
lofty
fucking up maps.
mountains,
This
isolated
one's in a
terrain.
museum.
The greatest number of sightings, and the only ones of the Bigfoot young, were in summer, above the Arctic Circle. Could that be where Bigfoot migrated to breed?
The Bigfoot
If
travels
I were
amongst
rabbit,
us as Robin
I
Williams.
might find a clue before season's end.
That summer, I followed the Grateful Dead around on tour.
Bigfoot, 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 Bigfoot.
Careful, careful, edge, edge.
Greg and I took our camera and planned to document every step we took.
But we didn't.
The lava beds, Modoc, California.
This guy had mapped
Bigfoot
out
were
a
a
migratory
migratory
route that
animal.
went
My
all the way up
theory
to
had to hold
Alaska,
up
and
all
he made it
along
as
the way.
far as Southern California.
Track, centuries old, preserved in the lava.
Bigfoot's a
My
lava
theory was
monster, confirmed.
But I wondered how Bigfoot survived the violent eruptions that brought the lava rock.
I've got some Bigfoot lava.
No, that does not count as proof.
nature provided me clues. I saw these two little ground squirrels so much in love they took no notice of me.
While I jacked it in a tree.
Around them.
Okay. All right, squirrels, I want you to frolic, but in slow motion. And action.
Lovely break to watch Chip and Dale showing some brotherly love.
The guy's back. How many times are they going to show that scared deer clip? That had to be the third time in the film.
Maybe that's what he's gonna finish with, and he's just like sprinkling it in so it can last a little bit longer. Yeah.
So he has a lot of exit ramps.
Yeah. As soon as you hear the sirens, you can just kind of wrap it up at your leisure.
There he is.
Run!
Oh God, the trip's turning bad. It's turning bad.
All that fucking prairie, and you ran over a damn squirrel, you bastard! Bob?
Bam. Hey, Bob.
Bob. Come on, Bob. Hey, Bob, we're deers.
Hey, Bob, can I have your stuff?
Quit being an ass, Bob.
Bob.
I swear to God, Bob, I'm going to eat you if you don't respond, Bob.
You're making me do this, Bob.
This is on you, Bob.
Why are you so delicious, Bob?
Don't judge me. Bob's delicious.
If you were in my position too, you'd be eating Bob.
Look, Bob wasn't answering.
Doesn't mean you eat him.
You fucking judge me after I'm done with Bob. I'll come for you.
So you decided to present this with no narration or music or anything?
The male's natural instincts drove him to cover.
Bigfoot!
These same instincts started up in the wounded squirrel.
Wounded? The one that was ground into a paste?
Nature was reminding me of her basic law: survival.
How can we riff? Nothing. One of them flying Bigfoots.
This same will to survive must have somehow kept Bigfoot going.
Nice transition.
I like the squirrel to Bigfoot parallel he's going for.
But where did the creature go if it were injured? The caves.
That's where Bigfoot's general physician is located.
Bigfoot was a tarantula all along. Of course.
Indians believed they were inhabited by an evil ape man. Now I was hot.
So then I did some peyote and wandered into a cave.
New clues.
We would draw out Frankenstein's monster or Bigfoot.
Whatever we were doing. Peyote!
But I'd soon catch up with him. Above the Arctic Circle.
So we nuked Bigfoot.
My journey to try new drugs across the world began. Unfortunately, there were none. And I spiraled into a deep depression and drove into a hole.
The end.
Woo! All right, good take.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, come on, it's a good take.
We do good take, let go. Nicolade waterfall!
Peg and I found the people up north different. They encouraged me,
I'm gonna need to see some proof of these people who took your search seriously.
like the lumberjacks, mountain men, like myself. The first into the midst of the wilderness, which meant first with stories of Bigfoot.
Nah, I wasn't hiding in this one either.
Don't worry, only a few more trees left.
Then we can have a shopping mall to entice Bigfoot out.
Because strange happenings followed in a nearby valley. Herds of goats come and perform a ritual suicide.
They were listening to the cue.
Sure enough, the goats were there, looking as if they were grazing normally, but actually eating pounds of dirt. With one gulp of water, the earth turns to cement.
What?
And they die.
So does this place never get rained on? Wouldn't that all be cement?
Etched in rock, 26 feet high, and the wolf, his only known traveling companion.
This giant
But
stone
when
wolf
on in
that
this
doesn't
valley,
move.
Bigfoot passed through, went against all the natural laws of survival. And the rock formations, too massive to have been shaped by man,
Ah,
presented
penis
a
rock, yes.
totally unexplainable natural phenomena.
It's got a face.
We call it old face rock.
To those who cried, for Bigfoot to exist goes against every bit of scientific data known to man, I could now say,
I have a
how much
shotgun and
more
I'm coming
is
for you.
to know? I felt close to the adventurers who'd left their calling cards at Watson Lake as they crossed into the Yukon.
That's a lot of
Even
warning
closer
signs
to
telling me
those who
not to
made a
do
similar
peyote
journey
and
at
stumble
the
into the
turn of the
Yukon
century,
wilderness.
who set out
So then I
after
did some
something
peyote
they
and
didn't
stumbled
know
into the
where,
Yukon wilderness.
but knew was out there someplace.
Ah!
So many
Roll
pouring
credits.
into the Yukon during the gold rush. It's no surprise there'd be such a rich source of stories about Bigfoot.
So I did some angel dust and wandered into the past.
For the first time in my life, I understood what made people like that tick.
And now, 10 minutes of history on the riverboat.
I guess we all need a frontier to explore.
Our own
Don't
brick of
necessarily have to
peyote,
go
if you
all
will.
into it. Just makes you feel kinda good knowing it's there.
And that they're all dead.
Thousands of these people came from everywhere.
Except for that one place. And you know why we didn't let them in?
You know the one.
We don't have to say it.
Tents had
You know.
sprung up where no man had ever even walked. If Bigfoot came here,
If he were to come here.
it's
I'm disturbed by how this is all in the conditional tense.
Such a rich source of information had to bring new leads.
John, I know this is unprofessional, but I'm gonna take a nap.
An old miner's story told how the glaciers up there were the burial grounds of the Bigfoot.
Pretty convenient, minor.
That would explain why there were no remains. The creatures carried their dead over thousands of miles just to deposit them in crevices that open up in the spring fall.
So surely someone would have seen either a Bigfoot carrying a dead Bigfoot or an avalanche of dead big feet tumbling down the mountain in the spring.
With global warming, the Bigfoot problem is growing even greater.
Little did we know that they weren't dead when they were buried, merely hibernating.
And super pissed.
It's the Omega event, people.
Global Bigfoot warming.
But none of Bigfoot. The constant movement of the glaciers could either crush the remains or wash them to the sea.
Okay, bye, Bigfoot.
Burial grounds of the Bigfoot.
So I took 6 drops of adrenochrome, freshly harvested from the adrenal glands of a 14-year-old girl, and wandered into the
Your
past.
friends called them crazy.
Ah! Bats!
And some of them might have been. But you wouldn't believe the extremes they went to for their fortunes, romance, and the unexplored.
Kill me now!
I'm digging my own grave, so I'm ready. There better be a reason we're seeing all these old-timey photos. If the next words out of your mouth are not, Bigfoot has a time machine,
Yes, it
I'll
wasn't
be
so
real
tough
mad.
to believe Bigfoot could have gone to similar extremes for a far more instinctive, basic drive.
Hey, it's the mountain climber game from Price is
burying his
Right.
dead.
I didn't know it was based on real life.
So many questions.
Where would I find more peyote? How could I pad this out
Well,
any
I
longer?
sure understood
Did I
what
already
drove those
wonder how I would
miners
find
as
more
they
peyote?
sailed up the river in pursuit of gold. For I'd soon ride the same river in pursuit of Bigfoot.
Kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me.
The miners were gone now,
The police took them away
but
from
I knew
me.
Bigfoot had to still be around. The frequency of current sightings meant he'd somehow survive the diseases the white man brought into the wilds.
Say what you will, but Bigfoot
The
is up to date on his vaccinations.
That wiped out whole tribes of Indians and Eskimos.
How many abandoned properties is Bigfoot accountable for?
I don't know. Most of them?
He'd even survived the violence reaching out from the boomtowns.
Oh man, please show me a scene where Bigfoot is having
Now
a
I
dual
understood
showdown in
why
the middle of a
Bigfoot
dusty
steered
western
clear
street.
of man. He had to, in order to survive. However vicious the creature might be, I gained a lot of respect for the elusive Bigfoot.
So I did some
And
peyote
its
and drove my
ability to
Volkswagen
endure.
Beetle at 2 miles an
But if we
hour.
were to find it, we'd have to get to the furthest outpost of civilization.
How does he think that this potentially extinct
When we ran
animal
out of
endured?
We saw the remnants of the old pioneers giving way to the machinery of the new. Thousands were now pouring back up to the new gold rush.
Thousands of Bigfoots!
Oil. How much longer could Bigfoot avoid all these people?
How would he stay
Where would
socially
he go
distanced?
next? I gambled on him heading north.
But I lost that bet and had to jump in a Cessna to leave the country because a lot of nasty people were trying to find me.
Well, traveling had been tough, so we treated ourselves to the fanciest hotel in town.
Inside of that
There,
outhouse?
Yukon Frida. Her sketches were based on recent sightings and descriptions of Bigfoot
Sad
from that
Bigfoot.
very
I
area.
don't want to be in this. I know, son.
Why is it always the morons that try to find us?
This is not for us to know, young one.
The circle
As we
of
started our
life.
journey up the river, I thought of the statues and drawings I'd seen in Arizona, California.
This
Oregon,
does not look
Washington,
like California.
British Columbia, the Yukon, and now above the Arctic Circle. All of them resembling the very creature I saw myself. They were too similar, over too vast an area to be coincidental.
Yeah, dude, I mean,
But these
it's not hard to
images
explain.
weren't good
There
enough
are
for the
hairy
experts
dudes
alone.
everywhere.
I still had a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, but you're not going to, are
There were
you?
no grocery stores up
Nope.
here.
Here's a
So
story
we
about
laid
some
off the
fish who
land
love each other and
to
try to get a
purchase fish
mortgage.
From the Eskimos. I knew I could get my answers from these people.
Those are
'Cause
fish.
Stories of big
Wake up! I've got questions!
plentiful as the food. One man told of the strange day his mother died. In a cabin like this,
Your cabin's
family
bad,
and friends
and you should feel
gathered to
bad.
await the passing of her spirit. That night, they heard a soft scratch at the door. There was Bigfoot.
They must have attracted him when they opened that can of tuna.
Everyone was terrified. The spirit of his mother was speaking through the voice of Bigfoot,
Please let me
They
in.
must
It's
abandon
freezing
their
outside.
which they did. The next day, an ice floe changed the river, and waters now flow where the village once stood. I asked to see this area, hoping for a sign of Bigfoot. The man said, if you wish to see the king of the animals,
Did he fight the
he
lion for that
breathed in the
title?
mating grounds of the Alaskan moose.
Was that water noise you, Bush?
No, it was skinny four-legged Bigfoot.
The moose came, as if a sign, reaffirming the man's words.
Dude, I'm just trying to take a drink. Don't drag me into your shit.
Up the river by a salmon wheel, a lone Eskimo greeted us with the words, Bigfoot is not here.
Your Bigfoot is in another castle.
How did he know what we were after? He told a tale about a trapper who killed a creature in the early 40s, bringing the wrath of Bigfoot down upon his people.
You know, I'm not sure that oil rig's going to do much good for you.
He said, one night I was caught out on the trail with only a few minutes of twilight left.
They said, is this guy really doing fucking drugs in the wood?
They were bright. Traveling was good. Then the snow turned red.
The sky snow.
I hate to say it, but I think you pissed off God.
Rivers of blood flowed across the sky and down into the snows. It seemed to be the last day of the world. Bigfoot was punishing us for bringing it sorrow.
Bigfoot, destroyer of worlds.
He's doing a real shitty job. Wait, the world's on fire. Uh-oh.
Battle of 1,000
Wait,
warriors.
I mean, our God's not doing too great. Uh-oh.
White light.
There is no God.
Spirit of Bigfoot, left to die by the trapper. It returned in the form of a white raven to protect us from the red wrath of its grieving brothers.
Ah, look, it's the Aurora
If you
Borealis.
travel the river, you may see him, and if you do, he will bring you luck.
Did he just say that the blood snow lightning Bigfoot will bring you luck? That sounds wrong.
Chernobyl sure is lovely at night.
Man, I gotta get these cataracts fixed.
Ah! Ah! Caesar vision! Bigfoot!
Then the native gasped, pointing to a bird soaring above us. The legendary white raven. The fisherman said,
That's a seagull.
Bigfoot smiles upon you. You will bring word of him to the people below.
Didn't Bigfoot just kill all the people below?
Am I still coming out of my stroke, or was that, like, really cool looking? With the stroke...
Oh, it's not done yet.
Mine was reeling. At the next village, the natives were waiting for us.
Nope.
They had heard about the white raven.
Oh,
They
you're that
wanted
guy
to
that saw the
show us
seagull, huh?
that sacred figure.
You silly Jerry.
Here it was again. They told us how Bigfoot was their friend. Their friend. How did they think such a violent creature could be their friend?
How his neck must have been the strongest thing on planet Earth.
Bigfoot always carried the bodies of men killed or lost in the Arctic winter to the edge of the nearest village to be buried by their own kind.
So I took some
When I asked
peyote and
where I
wandered
could
into
make
the tundra.
contact with their friend, they said, in the land of shining eyes. But they warned me not
Sir?
to violate
Sir?
Bigfoot's domain.
Sir, if you could stop for it.
I
Sir.
reminded them of the white raven.
Sir.
So they taught me a
Sir,
chant
Bigfoot.
to sing on the night
Sir.
of the full moon.
Excuse me, sir.
And promised
Very
I
rude,
would
sir.
see
Please.
the glowing eyes of Bigfoot.
This took 842 takes to get.
Nope, no Bigfoot there.
Well, I wasn't going to have a thing to do with any chanting. So I set up walkie-talkies 300 yards from the tent to monitor any movements on the tundra during the night.
This is Bigfoot. Over.
We found him!
You're listening to KBGFT, Bigfoot Radio.
Then the wait. The land was lush with vegetation, a perfect feeding ground.
The bountiful tundra.
Berries, lichen, gnats, bugs, millions of fish.
Landfish.
Not just a land of ice and snow. I understood why Bigfoot and so many animals
Oh,
flocked
someone
to the
pissed on
Arctic
this.
to breed and raise their young.
Not bad.
I brought my
But
optometry
this
tools with me in
land
case
was
anyone wants to
strangely
check up.
silent. Where were the animals?
Hey, Peyote Bob, is that you? I'm out.
I've been out for 3-4 minutes.
My transmitter had been thrown 15 feet,
Later, I had someone explain to me what wind
and the
was.
tundra held no tracks. Days passed. I felt like a fool, but now I'd go to any ends to conjure up the creature.
And then the dinner bell rang.
Generals gathered in their masses.
We're gonna have chili mac tonight.
Is it just me, or has Black Sabbath lost some of their edge?
Soon Peg saw what she thought were two car lights approaching.
It was another Bigfoot.
Spoiler.
I was caught in the darkness, but Peg guided me toward the lights. I had to find out what it was.
Turns out it was a car.
Then we realized they were the shining eyes.
It's a Bigfoot car! Run!
Sweet Jesus, Bigfoot was a transformer all along.
That might be the Mothman. Damn it, I found the wrong cryptid.
Not again.
First was a leprechaun, then a Mothman, still no damn Bigfoot.
The punchline is Bigfoot actually doesn't exist.
It's just Mothman dressing up and fucking with him.
Mothman's really pissed that he got found. So he's making him pay. Hitting him right where it hurts, in the Bigfoot.
But dawn broke
And that would matter if Bigfoot were a vampire.
behind a rainbow.
Why didn't I investigate the thing that would have proven my entire case?
This was too much. I felt like I was coming apart at the seams.
This guy was driven to the edge of madness by some headlights in
Here
the
I
distance.
was, an experienced mountain man all my life, acting like a spooked tenderfoot. I still had 1,000 questions, and so few answers.
So I took a ride on a peyote boaty.
I couldn't concentrate. My head was spinning with tall
Leaves that were used
tales
for
of
sanitation purposes just
hope. I
earlier
no
today.
longer knew what to believe.
It gives it that extra baked-in me
I
flavor.
had to get away from the others and be by myself.
All right, buddy. think it's time we get that peyote brick away from you and get you back to the home.
Never! Nom, 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 nom.
There were the salmon, back after 10 years.
It's a
living
shame
in
to
the
see
sea,
what havoc humanity's
spawned
wrought
in the
on the
exact
natural
place of
world.
their birth,
Look at how pixelated we've made
And then
that poor river.
to die. They reminded me of those I'd seen at Kodiak in the days when I was a pure tracker.
Okay, who painted that
Stuck
fish?
to nature's signs and wasn't so confused with all the legends and stories of man.
Man legends, if you will.
Yeah, he's exhausting.
And there were geese. My first clue to Bigfoot's migratory pattern.
There were geese.
Geese foot? I'll look into that later.
I began to feel close to nature again.
What do you mean again? You've been in nature
That's
this
where I
entire
find the
documentary.
answers to my question.
Also, do you remember what we're doing, bro?
Hey, how about some deer?
Caribou. Watching velvet off their antlers release swamp gas from the tundra to glow in the night.
Dude, come on.
Then I saw what must have been the monarch of the north.
The Bigfoot of deer, if you will.
I was terrified. It could crush the likes of me with one swoop. But it was the most magnificent animal I think I've ever seen.
I mean, just look at that chin ball sack.
He didn't seem to notice me as he made a clearing. He sharpened his horns as if to prepare for combat. I thought he'd come for me now.
I prepared myself, disrobing and lubing.
He dug a pit, marked it with his scent.
No, I think I know what that. Yup. We're watching a moose piss.
This attracted cows from all over the area.
My moose piss brings all the cows to the yard, and they're like, we're not cows, and they're like, we're not cows.
The cows declared themselves his by covering themselves with his scent.
Pretty typical dating scene stuff.
The mating grounds of the Alaskan moose, where no man had ever been before, and possibly the breeding grounds of Bigfoot.
Or possibly no man has been, and maybe
The young
Bigfoot.
one seemed a little overeager and found the monarch defending his territory against all intruders, while others waited for the right moment to move in.
Don't worry, Bob. They'll come to you.
Then he saw me,
My neck hurts.
but luckily, a match for the monarch challenged him for his cows and territory.
Oh, here it comes. The moose fight we've all been waiting for.
And
Here's a moose standing in a field.
I think they might have just accidentally clipped horns.
This is a moose fender bender.
Those who'd waited
A moostermoonder.
now moved in.
A stalker moose was in the
While
bushes,
the bulls were fighting,
waiting.
nature made sure there'd be a good crop of calves come spring.
I don't think those two males are going to make too many calves, buddy.
Finally, the monarch triumphed.
What?
Now, too
Triumphed over
preoccupied
what?
to give any notice.
Heart disease.
He gathered his cows, and according to the law of nature, the strongest began to breed.
While the weakest began to paint Warhammer
I
40k
was
figures.
deeply moved by what I'd seen, but still, no sign of Bigfoot. The salmon lay dying in the streams.
And I watched it
signaling
with
the
glee
end
in
of
my
the
heart.
hunting season. Time was running out, so we took to the air.
To run away from dying fish.
No fish in the air, I found out.
The Arctic winter could close us in at any moment, so we had to move fast.
There was a fish dying, so we jumped in a plane.
Why couldn't I find this creature? Was my theory wrong?
Was I stupid?
No, that couldn't
When I
possibly
saw the
be it.
expanse
I
of
had all the
space
blurry
below,
photos I
I
needed
laughed.
to make my theory
Anything
incontrovertible.
out there. They'd found Stone Age men in New Zealand. There were prehistoric fish being pulled out of the Persian Sea. My God, a primitive man walked out of the mountains 70 miles from the capital of California. There's so much territory yet to be explored.
Well, looks like they landed that plane
Undiscovered
safely.
wrecks of men who tried to break into this wilderness and were never heard of again.
It's one of them arcs.
I couldn't think of the risks. Everything I believed in was on the line. Suddenly, the pilot whipped around.
Pulled out his dick.
And we went into a spiral towards the ground.
There he was, a young Bigfoot, frozen like a tree.
And then we realized.
We could roll it over with our plane.
We raced back to the river, but he slipped away.
No, there he is.
No, yeah,
Seeing
you're
the young
good, man.
Bigfoot confirmed my theory. I could now roughly predict the creature's movements. The crew celebrated the
Because
sighting,
we paid them
but it
to.
wasn't enough.
Celebrate now.
I knew I needed to document Bigfoot's habits.
So I found more hallucinogenic berries and wandered to civilization.
The young Bigfoot's tracks led me from the river to a lush meadow. He'd passed through a herd of grazing muskox.
See, these are closer to
I
cows.
wondered what
Feel free to use the
Bigfoot
cow
fed
word
on.
here.
Maybe he ate vegetation too. Or fish. I'd seen him by a river. Of course, he could have been cleaning himself. Or drinking.
Anything you would do
Or
with
he
water.
could be a predator. One of these oxen would last him half the winter.
It'd be great if we just saw Bigfoot
Bigfoot's
squatting
behavior
into.
still held
He's
many
stealthily kind of crouch walking from cow to
Now
cow.
it was just a matter of time before I solved them. Winter now closed down on us.
I'm winner.
We were forced to move south, just like the animals.
The animals were moving south, and we were too, because we were riding moose.
The caribou.
The moose would
gathered
guide
for
us to
their
salvation.
migration.
If they didn't gore us. So they gored us, and I did some peyote and died.
They'd be the source of food for all the meat-eating animals that followed.
Hey, look, another cow.
If Bigfoot were a meat-eater, he'd feed on caribou too. If I could prove
Hey, a big ass cow.
I'd have a clue to the place he held in nature. If I could film it, I'd have the kind of documentation the experts demanded.
No.
Whatever is
You don't.
knew
I think we have a rough idea of how this film ends. That night, the caribou fought back.
And now he's shooting dogs. This is fantastic. Wolf's just eating cow.
This cow on cow violence has got to stop.
We had to shoot the wolf from killing the cow so we could kill the cow first.
And then we killed the wolf, and then we made a wolf cow deer and cow. They made one of those executive ball clacker toys, but with dead deer.
All right, wait till they freeze and then we can get this thing going. That truck killed so many deer. It's adorning itself with their carcasses to keep warm through the winter.
I was devastated by the slaughter of the caribou. I kept thinking of Bigfoot and its migration. It had to be
Bigfoot?
protected. It could be wiped out before I had a chance to study it.
Chance of going in mouth, 50%.
How could I get protection for something so few believed existed? I needed that unchallengeable proof I'd first set out for. There was no sign of Bigfoot with the caribou. It must eat vegetation or fish.
Like birds or the sun.
The perfect place. Beaver Swamp in the spring.
Be my butterfly, sugar baby.
I got there early and planned to stay as long as I could. I used every trick I learned over my years as a trapper.
But I also
carefully
forgot to wear
covered my
clothes
scent
appropriate
with
for the
ammonia.
snow and died of hypothermia.
Beaver Swamp. The geese.
Those bastards have
My
been
theory
harboring
was right.
Bigfoot this entire time.
Would follow shortly. I searched for the perfect place to set up a blind.
So I grabbed my top hat full of fermented hamster feces
When I
and
found
settled
I
down.
moved in and set up my cameras. Day after day, I waited and soon grew jealous of the other animals' freedom.
Huh. Bigfoot's smaller than I imagined.
Chilled to the bone. But I was determined not to make a move that might warn Bigfoot of my presence.
Oh, he's getting all the marrow out of that tree.
What if he didn't come?
What if Bigfoot stood me up on our first date?
What am I? What am I to Bigfoot?
Then a movement in the woods. The sun hadn't come up yet. It was hard to make out what I'd seen at first.
Oh god, it's Slender Bigfoot.
There he was.
Again.
Bigfoot, standing no more than 100 yards from my blind. I began to shake all over. I could barely keep hold of my camera.
Poop started to fill my pant legs.
Awesome.
Are we watching Bigfoot bidet himself?
Then, behind me, another one. Smaller, possibly younger. How many of them were there? Was I surrounded?
The Bigfoot's closed in from all sides.
You have come too far and know too much.
Extraordinary creatures I'd ever seen. I now knew why the Eskimos called Bigfoot the king of the animals.
Look, we've never seen a lion and a Bigfoot fight one another.
7 feet tall.
That is
250 to
pay-per-view for
500
sure.
pounds.
You ain't watching that shit for free.
Dark hair, just like the other creatures I'd seen. His odor was overwhelming. The same thick, musky scent that first led me to Bigfoot so long ago. The young one was no more than 5.5 feet tall, 250 pounds.
I could take him.
If my guess was right,
I'd love to see this guy just
probably
run
the
up and
first
cold
trip
cock a
away from its
Bigfoot.
northern breeding grounds. He'd probably never seen a man before. If he saw me, he could panic and attack.
Oh, my brain, my brain, my brain.
Then I looked around and realized the other animals were carrying on normally. If danger was around, they would have fled.
You've been the most dangerous thing in this show so far.
How many planes have you crashed?
As the Eskimos
Bears have you eaten from the bottom up. Dogs you've shot.
benevolent
Amorous squirrels you've run over with your car.
in doesn't even attack or feed on other animals.
Well, yeah, an Enderman won't attack you unless you attack it or you look it in the eyes.
Here it was before me, pulling up the tender swamp grass with its hands.
But not as quickly as I asked it to.
Remarkable huge hands that seemed capable of grasping, scooping up drinking water, and splashing to rid itself of parasites.
But not enough to mess up the monkey costume.
We gotta get that back to the store by 6.
I was again with Bigfoot. Unchallengeable proof my theory had worked.
When I returned to civilization, I got a dictionary and looked up the word
And I now
unchallengeable.
have the documentation.
It
of
was
its habits
disconcerting.
I needed.
So I ate the dictionary.
Proof that Bigfoot exists!
Understand
Take that, establishment!
holds in nature.
Fucking Oxford.
Here's a question. Why didn't you go closer?
Meanwhile, at
Came
Real
out to start
Things,
his day's hunting. I knew the nocturnal Bigfoot would soon return to the cover of the forest.
nocturnal big. This is the daytime.
And Bigfoot! Bigfoot! Bigfoot, smile for the camera!
Bigfoot, whip out those tots.
Bigfoot! Bigfoot, I loved your latest single. When's the album coming out? Bigfoot! Over here, Bigfoot! Bigfoot!
You should have washed this fucking costume.
Is that Bigfoot wearing a belt?
Dude, do you mind? I can't do it while you're watching.
I once again said goodbye to this mysterious creature that has somehow outlived its natural role.
Bye.
The tests of time. Now left to wander the land elusively, with a strange will to survive.
That strange will to preserve one's life.
Oh, hey, it's more unchallengeable proof!
Oh, I still have plenty of questions.
Like, what the hell's that?
Or, how do I take a good picture?
But I assure you, I'll no longer get so caught up in the problems of my research.
Problems like
I'll
fact
touch
and truth.
Wonders it reveals.
Oh, my sciatica. Oh gosh. That's flaring up. Oh. Boo.
Boo!
Boo.
Boo! Ah! Ah! Pip, pip, pip! No!
Bad.
Bad documentary! Bad!
What did you do on the floor, Legend of Bigfoot? What did you do? No! Bad! Is it possible that this film actually proved less than nothing?
I think it proved that I could get through something that harrowing with only a single glass of wine. Which
Hooray!